I was sure that God hated me because I have hardly ever done anything well or succeeded on my first try. I got into the NIS school when it had just first opened, but on the second attempt. I received a full ride scholarship to Yale and US College in Singapore, only to learn that I hadn't checked the requirement for the visa, my age requirement, so I couldn't go. I applied to the World Bank internship 4 times, and when I finally got in, COVID struck. So I was pretty sure God held something against me because nothing in my life was normal. Every time I faced another setback, I felt like I was cursed because it was not just my own failures. It was my whole family, my whole life. I lost my dad when I was 3, and I was born to a mixed household, so I was constantly questioned about my appearance because I didn't look Kazakh, I didn't look Russian, I looked something in between. So I even had to learn how to reply to all of those comments and explain that I'm Russian, Kazakh, German, Tatar in 3 seconds to any stranger, to any nosy kid or adult in my neighborhood. And in my 7th grade, my mom went bankrupt. So I was virtually the only hope for my own and my family's future success. Tiny Laura questioned herself. Why me? Why is everything so difficult for me? Why do I need to go through all of this in order to achieve something? And as time passed by, I realized that there was actually a reason. And no, it wasn't the fact that God hated me. He didn't. And if He exists, He probably wanted me to learn how to grit. Grit, as defined by psychologist Angela Duckworth, is passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's about having stamina. It's about sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the day, but for years, and working hard to make those dreams come a reality, to make those goals come a reality. When I realized that grit was part of success, my life didn't seem so abnormal or unfair anymore. In fact, it is proven by psychologists that challenges, setbacks, grit, they are an essential part of success, and without them, success is merely impossible. In the times of uncertainty, complexity, if you're unable to act, if you're unable to overcome your own failures and other hindrances, it is very unlikely you achieve anything. It is either the pain of transition and transformation or the pain of stagnation. Take my early life, for example. Let me just move real fast. Yeah. Take my early life, for example. Like I said earlier, I lost my dad when I was 3, and I was born to a mixed household in a small village in East Kazakhstan. My mom is half Russian and half German, and my dad is half Kazakh and half Tatar. So I was laughed at because of that as a kid, because I was somewhere in between and people couldn't understand who I was. I was also questioned a lot about my dad, where he was, whether he left our family or he didn't want to see us, and it was hard to take it all in as a child. But eventually, those experiences led me to succeed and help others. I founded a platform called StopHarass.kz, where we help groups that are the most vulnerable: women, children, teenagers, people with disabilities. They can report any kind of harassment or bullying and get professional help. Setting up my own business later on also came with its fair share of difficulties. When I founded my own company, Smart Test Prep, STP, and we began developing our AI platform for university admissions, it was incredibly difficult to raise money. I remember sending out 489 emails to various angel investors and VC funds and being ghosted for almost a year. And only after that, we eventually somehow raised our first $230,000 to build the platform. Same applies to state grants. They all rejected us in the beginning. Our first applications, they weren't successful. But a year or two after, they all took us in. So my lesson learned was the fact that success is not possible without grit. And success is not about always achieving something. It's about failing over and over again, learning lessons, and persevering in order to get what you want. Grit was an essential part even in my hobbies. So in 2019, I took up bachata and salsa classes. I really love Spanish culture. I love Spanish language. I speak Spanish, so I thought, why not? But it was a disaster because I felt so humiliated. I felt so uncomfortable because I couldn't do even the basic moves. So I gave up several times. I quit classes, I quit practice, I stopped doing it for a while. But then I told myself, if I really want to do this, I must continue. Now, 5 years later, I'm quite good, and I can even participate in professional video shootings and contests. And all it took me was work, practice more, some time, and a lot of grit. So now we understand that without grit, there is no success, there is no achievement. But the question is, how do we develop grit? What do we, as people, do in order to become grittier in life? And the best answer to that is growth mindset. Growth mindset is a concept developed by Carol Dweck, professor at Stanford University, that suggests that our ability to learn is not fixed, but can be improved and strengthened with effort and trial. Meaning that we as people need to understand that when our brains face adversity, when our brains face some setbacks or challenges, they grow, they adapt, they evolve. And those setbacks, they are not permanent defeats. They're just temporary problems that we need to overcome. And growth mindset is an excellent tool for developing grit, but it's not enough on its own. It's not enough. We need to do far more than that. We need to go beyond that. We need to go further. And instead of blaming our own failures on God's dislike or being bored during retrograde Mercury, we must face the challenges that we have. And there the work begins. And that's the end of my remarks for today, because that's really where our work begins. We must take our dreams, our goals, our ideas. We must build plans. We must act on those plans. We must see what's working and what's not. And most importantly, we must be willing to fail. We must be willing to find ourselves wrong. We must learn how to start over again with lessons learned and experience gained. And above all, we must all get grittier. Thank you very much.